Good morning, friends. Welcome to She's At It Again. My name is Tanya, and today we are going to make something so simple that you probably have only made the box kind before. And when I say box kind, I mean the kind at a supermarket that just the mix comes out of a box. But let me tell you, you're going to be shocked at how few ingredients this has, and there's very few things that I find more appealing than a hot pan of fudge brownies, and that's what we're making today. So let's go check it out. Okay, I'm telling you, you're going to be shocked at this. All right, here's my ingredients right here. Everything I'm going to need is right here in this little countertop right here, and that's not even counting this canister because this has random spices in it. First thing we're going to do is turn our oven on 350. We'll be getting it hot, and I have this pan, just a regular saucepan, and I have it heating up a little bit on a low heat burner. It's not real high. And I'm going to take a half stick of butter, and before I put it in this pan, because that's one of our ingredients that we need to address first, I'm going to take this stick of butter and just run it over the bottom of our baking dish like this. Only butter the bottom of it, not the sides. Plop it in your pan. Just make sure this reaches to all the corners in there. And we'll set this pan aside. We're going to melt our butter in this pan. Like I said, on low. You don't want it to brown or anything like that. You just want it to get soft and melt. And to this, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa. This is the kind I use. Grab whatever you like. You have options in this now. Instead of where a box mix, you just pretty much are at the mercy of whatever kind of chocolate they have decided to put in there. You can use super dark chocolate. You can use light chocolate. You can use whatever you want. So get your measuring spoon out. We're going to add 3 tablespoons to this, level tablespoons. So I have my plastic, that seal just folded back. We're going to rake it across the top. There's 1, 2, and 3. Can't believe I haven't shared this recipe already, but there's just so many things I want to share with you, and there's only so many Monday, Wednesday, Friday recipes that are out there. So, or time slots available, I should say. Too many recipes, not enough time slots available. Now, what we're doing to this cocoa, instead of adding it in with the sugar or putting the sugar in with the butter, then adding the cocoa, we are blooming this chocolate. So it is going to just dissolve right into that butter, which is a fat, and we're not going to have any lumps of it in our mix. The reason I thought about doing this recipe is because I was looking at my email yesterday and I got something, I believe, from Southern Living, and it said, I think the title of this particular article was, How to Make Your Box Brownies Taste Better. And in my mind, my kind of smart aleck self went, well, you could make them taste better by making them homemade. And then I thought, wait a minute, I haven't even shared a homemade brownie recipe. That's criminal. This is one of the things that people need to know. This is essential. All right, so once your butter is melted in there, you can see that ours is pretty much melted. Go ahead and turn your burner off because we don't need it to just keep heating up. To this, we're going to add about a cup of sugar. And I say about a cup because I'm going to add just a little less. You know, I'm not a huge fan of sugar, but it really doesn't need that much in it. So I'm going to go with a couple of tablespoons less. Every once in a while I find a little piece of debris in there. It looks like some kind of hole from something. I don't know what it is, but we don't want to put that in our brownies. All right, so add your sugar directly to that. You don't want to have your burner on too high because you want it to be able to just cool off a bit. I'm going to scoop mine off the burner just a little bit because I don't want that residual heat to just keep heating this up. We don't need it. We only needed it to melt the butter. All right, I need, I'm looking around like I'm lost because my camera's in front of that cabinet and I need a little bowl. I'll just put it in this little bowl. My measuring cups are up there. Normally that's what I break my eggs into to add them to something. I don't add an egg directly to a recipe normally because you just never know when you're going to drop a piece of shell in there, or in the case of mine, a feather's going to come off the eggs that it was stuck on there, or chicken poop, or just whatever, because my eggs are not washed before I use them, and I like it that way. All right, add your egg, just beat it around. In case your butter is a little hot, you don't want that egg to be scrambled in there. We're going to add 2 eggs, so that's just the first of 2. Look at this pretty egg. Isn't that a pretty color? We have good variety of chickens. I get mine from my friend that has several chickens. She knows their name. I don't know their names, but she knows her chickens' names. And she can tell me a lot of times which egg came from which chicken, which cracks me up. It's so funny. All right, put the other egg in there and mix it up real well. Next thing we're going to add is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Do not leave this part out. When I wrote my cookbook several years ago, I left it out. And I've tried to contact every single person that's ever ordered one and said, do not leave that out. Put that in. Of course, I have a whole sheet of corrections that I normally add to the cookbook when I give it as a gift now, which is totally embarrassing, but I'll get over it. All right, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Add it directly to that. And we need a teaspoon of vanilla. This is my vanilla. And I made this in December of 2018. So it lasts quite a while. And I love, love, love homemade vanilla. And yes, this is a medicine dropper. That's what I use for my vanilla because it's pretty accurate and it's easy to just suck it out of that bottle instead of pouring it and risking it going on the counter, because I'd probably have to start licking it up at that point. It's just that precious. Don't want to waste that vanilla. All right, so whenever you get your mixture smooth like that, that's what you want. You don't want anything to be visibly separate from the other ingredients. You want it completely smooth because the only other ingredient that we have left is the flour. And there's really not that much flour in this. A brownie is actually kind of an egg and sugar product. It's not really as much about the flour, even though you really can't get away from the flour too much. All right, so it calls for 3/4 cup of flour. So I have a 1/4 cup measure. I'm just going to get 3 of these out and rake them on the side of the canister. That way they'll be pretty level. And this is where you have to show a lot of restraint. You don't want to stir this any more than you absolutely have to. So what you want to do, just stir it lightly. It's not as delicate as folding it in, but you are kind of doing a folding in process. You're only going to stir this until you can't see any more white flour in there. Don't beat it like a meringue. It's not that type of stirring in. But the less you mix it and the less you handle it, the better texture your brownies are going to have. Now, I am a pecan lover. I am from the South. My grandparents had pecan orchards when I was growing up. I am a pecan lover. So I love pecans on my brownies. I also love walnuts on my brownies, but these are not staying at my house. These are going somewhere else. And I don't know but what this group of people that I'm sending them to has a nut allergy. And I would not want someone to miss out on this just because I decided to put what I want in there and less concerned about them. So what I'm going to do is just leave all the toppings out of it. You are welcome to put nuts on top of there. You're welcome to put blobs of peanut butter on there. You're welcome to put chocolate chips on there. You're welcome to put crushed up pretzels, which I find very nice. But let me challenge you. Instead of stirring the nuts into the batter, put the nuts on top. Otherwise, they get steamed when they're inside the brownie batter. If you'll put them on the top, they are toasted and they stay a really good texture instead of being steamed and getting a little bit too soft. I don't think that's very appealing. So at this point, we are going to pour our batter. Oh, if I were only left-handed, you could see this. We're going to just pour our batter into the pan because I don't have any dry flour visible in there. You want to get all of it out of the pan. And it'll look like you don't have a whole lot in there, but it'll cover the bottom of it. They'll level out and they'll be nice. Now these are the kind of brownies that are like box brownies. They're going to have that shiny top to them when you're finished baking them. It's not going to be like a cake brownie. It's going to be a fudge brownie. All right, we almost have every speck of this out of there. If it weren't for the fact I have to take these out of the oven when they're done, I would just leave the house when I'm making brownies because the smell is almost too much for me to resist. All right, we'll make sure this goes in all the corners. That's what it looks like. We're going to pop this in the oven and then we'll be back when it comes out and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, and we're going to set our oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to set mine for 20 and check it after 20, but I can't go to 25 and then go, oh, I should have stopped 5 minutes ago. So we'll be back in just a bit. Went off on the oven and it is incredible how good it smells in here. Yeah, it kind of makes me want to leave the house because I kind of want to eat the whole pan. Seriously, not just kind of, I do want to eat the whole pan. I would feel awful, but it would almost be worth it. It smells so good. I did have to reset the timer for another 5 minutes because I looked in there at 20 minutes after, or that it had been baking for 20 minutes and it just didn't look done completely to me. But it is now. So I want to show you these. See the shiny top, and when it cools off, it even gets shinier. So these are going to kind of deflate just a bit in the pan. They'll sink down, but you can slice them. It's easier to slice with a plastic knife. Don't ask me why, but don't do it when it's hot. Wait till these cool off. Give them maybe an hour or so, even if you can stand it. Slice it with just a plastic knife. Again, I don't know why, but it works really well. But get these out of here, put them on a platter, and I'm telling you, they're going to go quick. So let me tell you the benefit of doing this. If you wonder why I'm doing a video on brownies, because they're just so easy to pick up a box mix at the store. Number one, it's going to save you a whole lot of money. You already have these ingredients at home, don't you? I mean, you're a baker, right? You're watching my videos, you're interested in cooking. You probably have all these things in your house right now. If not, they're inexpensive enough to go to the store and get it. It's not any fancy ingredients, it's things you already have. No mixer is required. A bowl, a spatula, measuring instruments. That's it. And a little square baking dish. If you don't have a square one, put it in a round pan. Just trick people. They'll go, what is that? They've never seen a round brownie, but a big round brownie. So anyway, most of your box mixes, the ones I've looked at, now I've not, comprehensively looked over the entire universe at box mixes, but all of them have bleached flour. It's one of the first ingredients in there. And the only reason I can tell you is because bleached flour has a longer shelf life than unbleached flour. But again, bleached flour is bleached with what is considered a carcinogenic ingredient. Why do you want that? I don't want it, and that's why I learned how to make my own. Now, I went through several recipes. I didn't just stumble upon one and go, this is great, it's the first one I ever made. I probably went through maybe 10 recipes before I ever said, now that's what a brownie should taste like. Some of them were a little too cakey. Some of them just had, I don't know, just not the right oomph to them. This one does. I've done all your homework for you. Just try this one. The recipe will be in the description of the video. As always, we try to put recipes in every one of our videos. I don't want to hide anything from you. I'm not going to show you something and go, this is so good. Well, too bad you don't know how to make it. I'm not going to share it with you. It's a secret recipe. I have secret recipes. I have maybe 3 or 4. I don't share them with people, but I'm not going to make a video on those and then tease you with them. These, I want you to try. I want you to experience the goodness that these have in them. Thank you for joining us. I always look forward to sharing something with you. It gets me a little frazzled trying to get things around, but once I get all the lights turned on eventually, and get my microphone turned on eventually, and get my 2 cameras set up sometimes eventually, then it all turns out great. I'm never disappointed in something I have to share with you. So I look forward to sharing something with you again real soon, and have a good week. Bye.